Hi, I'm Ben Ferguson, and welcome to your AMAC Weekly News. First up, the fourth Democratic presidential debate took place, and it looked like liberals are even more focused on taking away your guns and your freedoms than ever before. I'll explain that in just a moment. Up next, Democratic presidential candidates are still pushing for Medicare for all, but they are all scared of answering the simple question, like, how in the world are we going to pay for this? I'll give you the price tag of what it would really cost in just a moment. And finally, Hunter Biden came out of the shadows and sat down for an exclusive TV interview. Well, I'll give you a tease. It didn't go very well at all for Hunter or his father, Joe Biden's campaign. And all this and more I'll have for you in just a second. But first, a quick reminder, be sure and share this video with your friends right now on social media. And if you haven't joined AMAC or renewed your AMAC membership, do it right now so you can continue to receive this new show and access to our amazing member benefits. You also get the incredible AMAC magazine, and most importantly, AMAC represents you and almost 2 million other conservatives on Capitol Hill every day. So make sure you renew or join today. Your AMAC Weekly News starts right now. The fourth Democratic debate is finally over, and it appears that liberals have gone even further to the extreme left. Now, overall, the debate was really a bunch of millionaires arguing with other millionaires over who hates millionaires the most. I'm not kidding. They all have insanely unrealistic and extremely expensive ideas that would literally bankrupt America. And they think they will be able to tax the evil rich, which literally they are, and the working class to pay for all of the socialist ideas. Now, get this. Bernie Sanders has a plan to pay for everything by taxing the 400 richest people in this country by 97%. You heard me right. Bernie Sanders just advocated for a 97% tax bracket in the United States of America. Now, Bernie's not the only one going full socialist on taxes. Elizabeth Warren also has an idea for a massive, quote, wealth tax. Now, important to note that these two people yelling at millionaires are both millionaires themselves, and they made their millionaires status by working in the United States government without a salary that's $1 million a year. Just think about how crazy that is. Now, of course, they also came out talking about impeachment, and they missed the important topics in the entire debate, like China and trade wars and border security. Now, one topic they did discuss is one of the major issues for liberals, their insistence on attacking you and your Second Amendment right. Beto O'Rourke has been one of the loudest voices in the fight against your right to keep and bear arms. Beto has gone back and forth and back and forth and back and forth on what his plan actually is and how he would do all this in America. Well, it seems like he's only honest about his real plan when he's pushed on the issue on the debate stage. So his new plan is to confiscate weapons from all law-abiding American citizens. And that's not all. Not only does Beto want to confiscate all of your weapons, but he also plans to come and take them from you if you refuse to turn them in to the government. Watch this from Tuesday night's CNN debate.
To be clear, exactly how are you going to take away weapons from people who do not want to give them up and you don't know where they are?
If someone does not turn in an AR-15 or an AK-47, one of these weapons of war, or brings it out in public and brandishes it in an attempt to intimidate, as we saw when we were at Kent State recently, then that weapon will be taken from them. If they persist, there will be other consequences from law enforcement.
Now, after the debate, CNN asked Beto an amazing follow-up question. Take a listen to this.
You expect mass shooters to follow the law?
Our fellow Americans will follow the law, yes.
Congressman, mass shooters don't fall by definition. The mass shooters in Parkland, in El Paso, I could go on for 10 minutes. They don't follow the law by definition.
Now, the amazing part about Beto's idea is even the media is not buying if this plan could ever be implemented in America. I'll leave it there on Beto, and it's time to move on to good old Joe Biden, who was literally all over the place Tuesday night with his ideas. Now, his faltering even included his gun control response. Take a look at this clip from CNN.
I'm the only one on this stage who has taken on the NRA and beat them twice. We were able to get assault weapons off the streets and not be able to be sold for 10 years. Recent studies show that mass violence went down when that occurred. The way to deal with those guns and those AR-15s and assault weapons that are on the street, are not on the street, that people own, is to do what we did with the National Firearms Act as it related to machine guns. You must register that weapon. You must register it. When you register it, the likelihood of it being used diminishes exponentially. I'm the only one that got moved to make sure that we could not have a magazine that had more than 10 rounds in it. I've done this. I know how to get it done. If you really want to get it done, go after the gun manufacturers and take back the exemption they have of not being able to be sued.
The man who was the Democrat presidential frontrunner until the last couple of weeks could not get his thoughts together all night. Now, the candidates were also hyper-focused on the legalization of drugs like marijuana, because that's important in America to them. In fact, a very strange moment, but a very memorable moment, came when Bernie Sanders wanted to make it clear that he was currently not under the influence of marijuana. Like literally telling America, don't worry, I'm not high right now. Take a look at this from CNN.
And Senator Sanders is in favor of medical marijuana. I want to make sure that's clear as well.
Thank you.
Senator Sanders, this debate does
tonight.
mark this debate.
Now, to be clear, this is the Democratic Party and its top candidates for the White House. Imagine what America would look like if any of the people on stage actually make it to the White House. What we're going to have is police forces coming door to door to remove your weapons and take away your Second Amendment rights. We will have a 97% tax bracket on people that work extremely hard and employ a lot of people. We will also have legalized drugs, and apparently in multiple forms. And oh, by the way, they want to abort more babies on demand. Virtually everyone on stage agreed with that. Now, AMAC is fighting day and night to make sure this never happens. We will continue to fight for your constitutional rights while liberals fight to literally take them away. The Democratic presidential candidates are determined to not only take your guns, but now they literally want to take away your freedom to choose your health care. That's right, liberals want to give taxpayer-funded health insurance to illegal immigrants while simultaneously making private health insurance illegal. Also, the same exact people who were adamant that Obamacare would save everyone who needed health care are now saying that it's not working and needs to be thrown out. The program that those like Bernie Sanders used to support, Obamacare, well, now he's saying, in his words, it's a dysfunctional and cruel program. Let me get this straight. You used to love Obamacare. You said it was going to save everyone. You said it wasn't socialized medicine, and you said it was going to work. And now you're telling me that it's a cruel program? Take a listen to this from CNN's debate.
I get a little bit tired, I must say, of people defending a system which is dysfunctional, which is cruel. 87 million uninsured, 30,000 people dying every single year, 500,000 people going bankrupt. For what reason? They came down with cancer. I will tell you what the issue is here. The issue is whether the Democratic Party has the guts to stand up to the healthcare industry, which made $100 billion in profit, whether we have the guts to stand up to the corrupt, price-fixing pharmaceutical industry, which is charging us the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. And if we don't have the guts to do that, if all we can do is take their money, we should be ashamed of ourselves.
Now, it's important to notice that Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren are those that are out there really touting Medicare for all. It's also important to remember what Sanders said during a CNN interview just a couple months ago about how he is going to pay for all of this. Take a look.
So is Vice President Biden correct that anybody who says Medicare for all is going to happen, but we're not going to raise taxes on anybody or on the middle class?
No, I think
it's a fantasy world?
Well, obviously, health care is not free. Right now, we pay through premiums and out-of-pocket expenses. In Canada, it's paid through taxes. We'll have to do that.
That's right. Bernie Sanders literally just said that there will have to be a massive tax increase in order to pay for any of this Medicare for all. Now, the good news about Bernie Sanders is at least he's admitting it. At least he's being honest, that it's going to cost us an insane amount of money. You compare that to Elizabeth Warren, who is continuing to dodge the question of whether or not the middle class will have to actually pay a whole lot more in taxes for her socialist idea. Now, it was no different at the CNN debate. What was different was that Mayor Pete actually called her out for her avoidance on all these lies. Take a look at this from CNN.
Medicare for all is the gold standard. It is the way we get health care coverage for every single American, including the family whose child's been diagnosed with cancer. We can pay for this. I've laid out the basic principles. Costs are going to go up for the wealthy. They're going to go up for big corporations. They will not go up for middle-class families, and I will not sign a bill into law that raises their costs.
May I respond?
Sure.
I don't think the American people are wrong when they say that what they want is a choice. And the choice of Medicare for all who want it, which is affordable for everyone because we make sure that the subsidies are in place, allows you to get that health care. It's just better than Medicare for all, whether you want it or not. And I don't understand why you believe the only way to deliver affordable coverage to everybody is to obliterate private plans.
Now, to be clear, it doesn't matter what Warren, Sanders, Harris, or Booker says. The fact is, this plan would be a $32 trillion plan. And that's a plan where Booker, Warren, and Harris, and all of them have co-sponsored it. They also made sure that in this plan, it would be illegal for you to have private insurance. That's right. They want to make it illegal for you to even be able to go out and buy private insurance for you and your health care. Now, if enacted, to be clear what this looks like, liberals would kick 176 million Americans off of their own private health insurance plans so that they can implement socialized medicine. Now, at least Joe Biden was honest enough to admit that we can't afford this. Just take a look at what Joe Biden had to say from the debate.
Not being vague. Tell people what it's going to cost, how you're going to do it, and why you're going to do it. That's the way to get it done. Presidents are supposed to be able to persuade. If you eliminated the entire Pentagon, every single thing, plane, ship, troop, the buildings, everything, satellites, it would pay for a total of 4 months. 4 months. Where do you get the rest? Where does it come from?
Liberals don't just want to take away your guns anymore. They want to take away your guns, your health care, your doctor, your president, and your freedom. This is exactly why we all need to fight back, and AMAC is here to help make sure that your voice is actually being heard in this grand fight in Washington. So Hunter Biden decided to come out and do an exclusive interview with ABC News on the entire Ukrainian controversy, and it was supposed to help his dad. Well, we all know that Hunter Biden didn't have the qualifications for any of the international dealings that he'd been involved in or boards that he was sitting on. And he finally admitted it during the interview that he wouldn't have had a single one of these jobs if his dad hadn't been the vice president of the United States of America. You don't believe me? Take a look at this clip from ABC News.
I think that it is impossible for me to be on any of the boards that I just mentioned without saying that I'm the son of the vice president of the United States.
Now, it's important to note that Hunter was dishonorably discharged from the Navy, and he did, in fact, enter rehab 7 or 8 different times while also going on boards making millions of dollars around the world. He was asked about that, and Hunter got very offended. Watch how he responded to the ABC News interview on that tough question.
In and out of rehab 7, 8 times.
Say it nicer to me. Sought treatment for an issue like
Sought
most
treatment
people.
for substance abuse issues.
To be clear, you just saw a guy who's been making millions of dollars off his dad's name in international business dealings who just told the person interviewing him that she needed to be nicer to him. Now, all in all, Hunter thinks that coming forward and claiming that the president's claims are completely false will actually make them untrue. After over a week of drama about his son's dealings with Ukraine, Joe Biden is still struggling to answer the questions thrown at him at the debate. Take a look at this from CNN.
You announced that if you're president, no one in your family or associated with you will be involved in any foreign businesses. My question is, if it's not okay for a president's family to be involved in foreign businesses, why was it okay for your son when you were vice president? Vice President Biden?
Look, my son did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. I carried out the policy of the United States government in rooting out corruption in Ukraine. And that's what we should be focusing on. And what I wanted to make a point about, and my son's statement speaks for itself. He spoke about it today. My son's statement speaks for itself. What I think is important is we focus on why it's so important to remove this man from office. On the 17th, look, the fact that George Washington worried on the first time he spoke after being elected president that what we had to worry about is foreign interference in our elections. It was the greatest threat to America. This president, on three occasions, has invited foreign governments and heads of government to get engaged in trying to alter our elections. The fact is that it is outrageous. Rudy Giuliani, the president, and his thugs have already proven that they, in fact, are flat lying. What we have to do now is focus on Donald Trump. He doesn't want me to be the candidate. He's going after me because he knows if I get the nomination, I will beat him like a drum.
You know you have problems when you cannot even answer a question that you know is going to be coming at you about your own family's corruption, and then you act like no one should be concerned about it when your son even admits that he wouldn't have gotten any of these jobs if it wasn't for you being the vice president. Now, Joe Biden is running for the highest office in the land. Even while he battles his own corruption allegation, he still feels completely justified claiming that Donald Trump is the most corrupt president in history. Watch what he had to say to try to deflect on this issue during the debate.
This president, and I agree with Bernie, Senator Sanders, is the most corrupt president in modern history, and I think all of our history. And the fact is that this president of the United States has gone so far as to say, since this latest event, that in fact he will not cooperate in any way at all, will not send any witnesses, will not provide any information, will not do anything to cooperate with the impeachment. They have no choice but to move.
The Bidens just can't seem to keep their stories straight. But what we can say for sure is that there is something corrupt about what Hunter is doing abroad, and he's basically now admitted it. Hunter is now claiming that he will drop all of his foreign holdings if his father becomes president. All right, so let me get this straight. Only if your dad becomes president of the United States of America is it corrupt for you to sit on boards of companies in Ukraine or China or get billions of dollars in loans. Well, your dad was literally the vice president when you did all of this. He was the second most powerful man in America. If it's wrong and corrupt to do it when your dad is the president, then it's definitely wrong and corrupt when your dad was the actual vice president of the United States of America. Now, look, we know there's going to be more of this story, and we know that a lot more is going to come out. AMAC will be sure to keep you updated as all of this information is released. That's it for this edition of your AMAC Weekly News. Now, be sure to share this post with your friends on Facebook and Twitter. Also, a quick reminder, if you haven't joined AMAC or renewed your AMAC membership, do it now so you can continue to receive this show and access to our amazing member benefits. You also get our AMAC magazine. And most importantly, AMAC represents you and almost 2 million other conservatives on Capitol Hill every day. So make sure you join or renew today. I'm Ben Ferguson, and I'll see you back next week for our next episode.